All the major news stories made simple and easy for your listening pleasure. We'll break it down for you in keywords. For the segment, we're joined by Adam in the studio. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, Lena.
Can you imagine a day where AI does our job significantly better with pristine accuracy and, again, fraction of the price for those who are hiring?
Don't get me started, Lena. Don't get me started. The AI taking over the world.
It's ingrained with this fear, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the job market, it doesn't help, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're already being outrun by these machines.
I know, but I do still believe that there are certain jobs where robots and AI can't take over or can't do as well as humans. The arts, for example. Yeah, singers and actors. And
You think so, right? I agree.
Well, I hope so.
You're banking on it anyway.
Our jobs as well. There's been talk about these AI anchors and announcers. It's not the same.
They've had several in trial runs, but so far the consensus is it's a little bit too robotic and it doesn't have that human touch. We actually like, people stuttering through sentences. Actually, there are great leaders across the world where their speech is not perfect, but there is an air of authenticity when people stumble through their sentences. Can you imagine AI doing that?
Perfect imperfections, I like to call them.
And now we're just defending our case. So
to quote John Lennon, legend.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Give us your 2 cents on the topic. We'll talk a little bit more on Culture Seekers. Is Hongcho joining us in the latter half of the show? Let's turn to keyword news this morning to highlight some of these major headlines for you. Adjusting the tone a little bit to take a look at the crisis in Ukraine. This is our first keyword of the day.
Russia invasion.
So let's get the latest on the Russian invasion in Ukraine. The assault is drawing international backlash and putting Russia's tensions with the West at an all-time high. So let's get the latest.
Yeah, so Russian forces, they moved quickly across Ukrainian territory on several different fronts with gunfire, explosions and aerial combat also reported across the country as well. Now, this is just breaking, but Ukraine's president says that the death toll now stands at least 137 of Ukrainian citizens. That includes both soldiers and civilians who have died on the first day of the assault. And scores more people are also said to have been wounded as well. Fighting broke out at key locations, including at an airfield near the capital, Kyiv, that was seized by Russian troops and which Ukrainian forces claim to have retaken as well. Russian forces, however, took control of Chernobyl, site of the nuclear disaster back in 1986. And it's a place that actually remains radioactive to this day and for further years to come as well. This is prompting significant concern from international nuclear watchdogs, so it's not just a diplomatic issue as well. Now, hours after the invasion, Russian President Vladimir Putin said Moscow had no other choice but to invade Ukraine to ensure Russia's security. And Putin also said his country wanted to remain part of the world economy and had no plans to harm it. But of course, that wasn't very welcome in the Western world. US President Joe Biden says Putin's aggression will cost Russia dearly. Western nations like the US and the EU have stepped up financial sanctions on Russia's banks and high-ranking officials as well. The US has also cut off high-tech exports to Russia. NATO nations, though, while condemning the invasion, will not be sending troops to Ukraine, probably in a move to not escalate the situation even further, because there have been word that this could be a start of a World War III if it did go to that kind of level.
Right. Meanwhile, in Russia, it seems that there are protests unfolding as we speak.
Yeah, that's right. Anti-war protests, demonstrations in support of Ukraine, they're being held across cities across Europe, and as you said, also happening in Russia as well.
Right.
That's despite a crackdown that has resulted in more than 700 arrests. People in Kyiv and elsewhere are trying to flee. Some 100,000 have left so far, according to the UN. Border guards at neighbouring countries such as Poland, Hungary and Moldova have seen migrant families arrive. And also breaking is that the Ukrainian president has also enacted a general mobilization, which means that basically calling conscription on all able-bodied men to defend Ukraine if it needs to go to that level.
If it escalates even further, it seems.
So men aren't allowed to leave the country, basically.
All right. As Adam has already highlighted, the U.S., Britain, and NATO allies are further planning to impose sanctions on Russian banks, leaders, tech exports, as you say, to name a few. But that's not the only place where economic impact could be felt. It's also worldwide. Global stock indexes fell, oil prices rise. So let's take a look at that impact in our second keyword of the day.
Stocks shaken.
So the invasion has also rattled stock markets as expected around the world and in Korea. How did they fare?
Yeah, they were very volatile on Thursday. Markets shuddered and then they swung wildly after the invasion. Now, Wall Street initially tumbled as prices surged for oil, wheat and other commodities on worries that the conflict would disrupt global supplies. But the moves moderated as the day progressed, particularly after President Joe Biden said he wanted to limit the economic pain for Americans and announced new sanctions as well. Now, the movements were sharper in Europe, of course, than in the US because its economy is more closely tied to Russia and Ukraine. Most of the markets in Europe were down about 4% each in the major markets, including in the UK, Germany and France. Oil prices have risen to the highest level since 2014 due to concerns the Ukraine crisis could disrupt Russian suppliers of crude. Now, Russia accounts for about 12% of the world's oil supply, so quite a bit. And it also provides about 40% of gas to the EU as well. So, of course, that is certainly a factor to consider.
And natural gas prices actually skyrocketed just after a notice of the invasion, right?
Right.
All right, moving on to our COVID-19 coverage of the day. This is our third keyword of the day.
Pandemic.
Turning to the pandemic now, cases have dropped a bit, but this could be apparently only temporary. What's the latest?
Yeah, it's not very good to gauge how the trend is going just on 2 days of trends, but there were more than 143,000 new infections as of 9 p.m. yesterday. It is slightly down from the same time the previous day, but we should note it's still a significant rise compared to a week ago, and it's also nearly triple that of 2 weeks prior as well. Now, with cases counted till midnight, today's tally could reach over 170,000 again. The number of critically ill patients, which is concerning, is also rising. It came to 581 yesterday, which was up sharply from the previous day's 512, and the figure rose nearly threefold in a space of a week. Now, intensive care beds set aside for these critically ill patients were 39% occupied nationwide, compared with around 10% earlier this month. So it is starting to creep up. This is causing the number of COVID-related deaths as well to increase, with the daily death toll nearing 100. So those are the numbers that the health authorities are concerned about, and they are starting to slowly pick up, of course, naturally with the increase in daily infections.
All right, so take notice of that. On to our fourth keyword of the day.
Household income growth.
Turning to some economic news at home, household income was said to have grown largely in the fourth quarter of last year. Run us through the numbers.
Yeah, so Statistics Korea says the average household earned over 4.6 million won a month during the fourth quarter. That's up nearly 6.5% on year. It marks the largest increase in 10 years, actually, for any fourth quarter since 2011. It was also the second straight quarter to post household income growth. A couple of major factors were the easing of Korea's social distancing rules in the fourth quarter, as well as the government's distribution of relief funds to small businesses, more of which have come out this week as well. Household spending also increased on high inflation, with average household expenditure topping nearly 3.5 million won a month, which is up 5.5% on year, with these people, you know, the so-called revenge spending that's happening on.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that a particular department store really close to our broadcasting station is the most, it reported high sales last year in the world as far as all department stores are concerned.
The one by the bus terminal?
Yeah. It's no secret at this point. It was a major headline, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around that fact.
Oh, yeah, wow. There is a lot of human traffic there as well, with the terminal, and a lot of people going in and out. And I shop there occasionally as well.
It's apparently good for the local economy.
Yeah.
And on to our fifth keyword of the day.
Job growth slows.
I mean, you put that side by side, it makes no sense, does it? But it's absolutely not good news in the job market. Wage workers increase, but the rate of growth is quite low.
Yeah, so this is a trend that we've been seeing recently, unfortunately, and it's happening again. Statistics Korea data shows the number of paid employee jobs came to 19.6 million as of end September. That's up 2.6% or 491,000 more from a year earlier. The tally was much lower than an on-year increase of 681,000 in the second quarter of last year. Now, in the wake of the pandemic, the accommodations and food service industries shared nearly 30,000 jobs in Q3. Jobs in the public administration sector also fell by about 30,000. Yet the manufacturing sector added 53,000 wage workers, while the health and social welfare segment, of course, because of the pandemic, added a whopping 137,000. By age, the number of jobs for those in their 60s or older jumped by 243,000. That's the highest increase among all the age groups. 63,000 were those in their 20s and younger. But of course, again, jobs for salaried workers in their 30s, the most active economically, fell by 12,000, again pointing to the lack of quality job additions. These wage workers aren't really a good gauge of how the job market is doing because most of them are temporary and it's not really quality jobs as they're being defined.
We're talking about those full-time jobs, which is the ones that these young 30-year-olds might be wanting to look out for to take their careers to the next level, if you will.
Yeah.
All right, on to our last keyword of the day.
K-pop revenue.
We spoke about how BTS's agency HYBE became the first K-pop label to top the 1 trillion in sales despite the pandemic. But apparently it's not just HYBE that did well in the K-pop sector. In fact, YG is making a comeback.
That's right.
Because Big Bang and Blackpink are making comebacks.
That's right. And certainly K-pop across the board is doing quite well despite the pandemic. And major agencies and management firms are posting record revenues. SM, for example, managed to rake in 700 billion won in revenue last year. It's not quite the 1 trillion as high, but still a large number nonetheless. These numbers are according to the Financial Services Commission. It's a 21% increase on year. Operating profit for SM came to 68.5 billion won. That's a whopping 954% jump on year. That's mostly because it managed to recover more than 80 billion won in losses the year before.
I was going to say, because 2 years ago we're talking about maybe the pandemic uprooting a lot of these planned events, concerts, album sales, if you will. But that's still a really significant jump, isn't it?
It is, certainly. And it has recovered to a big extent. YG Entertainment posted more than 355 billion won in revenue over the same period. Operating profit came at just over 50 billion won. Those are increases of 39% and 370% respectively. That is actually YG's best performance to date. Now, this all was mostly due to increased activity of its artists, such as solo releases from Blackpink's Rosé and Lisa. It appears K-pop fans are staying loyal to their favorite artists, despite the pandemic. They're buying albums left and right and center. And they're also buying concert tickets, whether they'll be virtual or live.
It's funny because ideally I would want those center tickets for those concerts.
Yes, they're front rows.
All right. It seems that there are big events scheduled for K-pop artists all throughout the year. So it seems that they'll fare quite well, even their stocks, right? It seems that's the forecast for 2022.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much, Arirang, for today's coverage.
You're very welcome.
Have a safe weekend.
You too.
If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.